You're listening to the Look Great Naked podcast. I'm your host, Eric Bach. This is the podcast for men and women who want to look great naked without living in the gym. If that sounds like you, then you're in the right place. Let's dive in.
Hey guys, welcome to the Look Great Naked podcast. I'm your host, Eric Bach, and before we jump in, I want to say thank you because you guys are nailing this. We are just getting out of the gate, but you are subscribing onto YouTube. We have 5-star reviews trickling in from these first few episodes, and I just wanted to say thank you so much. And this is important because all the information in the world is meaningless unless you act on it, unless you take the tangible tips, the tactics, the proven principles that we are covering inside the Look Great Naked podcast and applying them directly to your life. And today is going to be another banger episode where we talk about the lean physique blueprint. And not just random tips, tricks, things that you can do, but rather a set of principles, a set of components that you can take and you can apply directly to your life. You see, when you have a blueprint for success, you become equipped with the tools, with the tactics, with the strategies to be able to navigate whatever life throws at you. And believe me, life is going to throw obstacles your way when it comes to food, when it comes to staying healthy, when it comes to staying focused and on track with becoming the person that you want to be. So today's episode is going to break down the 8 rules to build a lean, muscular physique. Let's get it. Lean physique rule number 1, eat more foods that had a face. What do I mean by that? You should be eating more lean protein. In fact, when it comes to optimizing body composition, the evidence is clear. 0.82 grams per pound of body weight is about how much protein you should be having. So if you're 180 pounds, it's about 150, 155 grams per day. Now, you also see numbers like 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's also great because it's easy to remember and it's very difficult for your body to take protein that you're consuming and store it as body fat. In fact, 30% of the calories that you consume from protein are actually burned off through the digestive process because it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy to actually break apart that protein into usable amino acids that your body can actually take, which is one reason why you might get the meat sweats if you devour way too much Texas barbecue like I did at Lewis Barbecue in Charleston, South Carolina yesterday. Quick shout out, if you ever go to Austin, Lewis Barbecue is also there. Fantastic. Anyway, going a little bit further, eating more foods that had a face. What we want to think about here, one of my favorite methods to really help my clients here is the 4-4-40 protein method. And this means 4 times per day, we want to have meals where we're having 40 grams of protein, right? So when we have 4 meals times 40, that puts us right around 160 grams of protein. For most people, that's going to be a sweet spot. Now, you might have to titrate this up and down, but a very simple way to think about it is if you're having 4 meals per day, we want to have 4 servings of protein total, each of about 40 grams. That should help you get directly towards your goals. If you're watching this on video, I'm holding up my hand right now. And one popular method to actually get this is by looking at the palm of your hand. That's going to help you dictate what a good serving is for you based on your size. So it could be a palm of protein each and every single time when you're having a meal. That should get you close and provide a framework for how much protein you need to be eating each and every single day. Tip number 2, we have to eat more plants. Yes, keep it simple. Eat more fruits, eat more vegetables. The reason this is important is simple. When we look at different food choices, we want to be able to consume foods that are chock full of nutrients, full of minerals, full of all those things that we need to nourish our body to look, feel, and perform our best without dramatically overshooting our calories. I mean, let's take an example, right? You're not going to get obese by eating a pound full of apples. You're not going to be able to finish the damn apple. However, it's easy to plow through a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos because believe me, those Cool Ranch Doritos, they're fucking delicious. But when it comes to plants, we need to focus on the things that are going to be taking up the most possible room within our stomach. Our stomach does not get full on calories. It gets full on volume. So think about this logically. If you're trying to lose body fat, if you can strategically fill your body up with the foods that have fewer calories, that have more vitamins, that have more minerals, what is going to be a better option when it comes to looking, feeling, and performing your best? That's a no-brainer. And that's what we want to focus on, eating plants, eating foods that came directly from the ground with each and every single meal. Lean physique tip number 3, you got to lift at least 4 times per week. And the reason is muscle is your metabolic powerhouse. I'll say that again, muscle is your metabolic powerhouse. When you train consistently, every single time that you train, your muscles act like a sponge. Right? And so what happens is we have those muscular contractions and your muscles want to soak up all those nutrients that we're putting directly into your body. Therefore, when you build more lean muscle, One, it's going to create a buffer. It's going to allow you to actually be a little bit more relaxed on your diet without adding a lot of body fat. But even more importantly, muscle is the most metabolically active tissue we have directly inside of our body, I guess outside of our brain. And the reason we want to be able to add that lean muscle, well, when we have more muscle, we boost our metabolic function. When your metabolism is functioning at a much better clip, that allows you to be able to eat more, to have a little bit more variety, a little bit more flexibility and freedom directly in your diet. Now, why do we want to focus on this as well? Well, when we're training 4 days per week, and if you haven't listened to our previous podcast on maximizing muscle growth as a natural lifter, definitely go back and check it out. It will be available in the show notes. We want to train muscle groups multiple times per week. The reason is muscle protein synthesis, so that increases as a result of our training, stays elevated for 24 to 36 hours as long as you're not on gear. But when that happens, if we train our chest on Monday, we want to be able to hit it again multiple times throughout the week. So it matters what type of training split that you follow if you're going to be following if you're going to be working out 4 days per week. My personal recommendation, just like we have in our minimalist muscle blitz and our minimalist muscle system, we want to train muscles 2 to 3 times per week. Because when we train muscles 2 to 3 times per week, well, guess what? We're creating more of an opportunity to build that lean muscle throughout. And in addition, well, we increase our metabolic rate. We can build lean muscle, which obviously is going to help us look our best. And that's going to be the best formula to build that lean, muscular, and athletic physique that you're after.
Tip number 4, we need to do our compound exercises first. And the reason comes down to, well, first and foremost, training efficiency. You see, when you build a workout routine around your big compound exercises like squats, horizontal pressing, pulling, pull-ups, lunges, all these exercises, these are recruiting the most muscle possible. Some of these exercises are recruiting over 200 muscles at one time. And so when we're training our body with heavy loads, with compound exercises that are recruiting maximal number of muscle fibers, that are challenging not just our muscles, but our tendons, our ligaments, our central nervous system to be able to generate and conduct force, we are spending 80 cents on the dollar doing the most important things first. And if we get back to one of the key tenets of this show is looking great naked without living in the gym, well, if we want to do so without living in the gym, we need to focus on the exercises that are going to be the most important. You see a lot of people will go in the gym and they will dick around doing 87 variations of bicep curl, training their medial delts and their calves nonstop. But if you put them under a bar, they can't lift a damn thing. That's not what we want. That's not what we want at all. Instead, we need to focus on these compound exercises and make sure that they are the primary focus with what we are doing because they are 80 cents on the dollar. If we look at Pareto's principle, 80-20 principle, the 20% of exercises that we can do that create 80% of the results, that's where compound exercises are. Now, it doesn't mean that isolation exercises do not have their benefit, but this is a huge thing that we need to be able to think about. If you go through and you do a workout and you are hammering away at tons of isolation exercises, you're pumped, you're fatigued, your muscles are gassed, and then you go and try to do a heavy compound exercise later on, well, guess what? You're going to have new weak points, and you're going to have new weak points under load when your body needs to recruit as many muscle fibers as it possibly can. So when it comes to designing your workouts, ideally, we need to be able to focus on hitting these heavy compound exercises early on in the workout. We need to focus on getting stronger, on tracking our numbers and creating progressive tension overload so we can maximize the time that we do have in the gym and as a result, get stronger, build lean muscle, and get jacked. Now, isolation exercises, well, we'll get to that in a second.
Lean physique tip number 5, use isolation exercises to fill in the gaps. You get this weird subset of people in the fitness industry who think it's hardcore just to use these old tools, only use a barbell, only use dumbbells, only use calisthenics or whatever the fuck, right? Come on, like that's like wearing leather helmets to play football because that's what they did back in the 20s. Is that really what we want? No. Isolation exercises, and this can be using dumbbells, bands, machines, cables, whatever you have in front of you, create the perfect opportunity to train in a joint-friendly way and to build up your weak points. Yeah, it's important to focus on the basics, and that's why we say stuff like success comes from the ruthless execution of the basics. But isolation work, when it's well-timed directly into your program, is going to help fill in the gaps. Me personally, and if you're looking to really build that aesthetic physique, most of us should focus actually more on some additional isolation work for our shoulders and maybe a little bit less overhead pressing. One of the primary reasons is, well, compound exercises such as an overhead press, most people have the mobility of a fork. They can't get into that overhead position safely. And as a result, when they chase getting stronger and stronger and stronger on a movement that they can't necessarily support with great biomechanics, that opens the door for injury. That's how a lot of people end up getting loads of PT and never build the body that they want because their shoulders are completely trashed. So an example would be, maybe we want to dial back some of the overhead pressing, but increase isolation work to build rounder, strong cap delts while decreasing the overall stress on your body. What you need to think about is whatever your weak points are. Could be your calves, could be your forearms, could be your biceps, could be your shoulders. Whatever the case, we can definitely use isolation exercises as support for what we're doing with a structured program with the compound exercises to really build out the best looking physique at the same time that we're improving performance and strength levels. Lean physique rule number 6, getting 7 hours of sleep per night. Think about this. If you could create and sell a supplement that boosted testosterone, that increased insulin sensitivity, that increased growth hormone, that increased discipline, that decreased cancer, that decreased injury risk, that decreased mental illness, that literally improved every single physiological function that your body goes through, imagine what that could sell for. You know what that is? It's going the fuck to sleep. In the words of Samuel L. Jackson, right? And what we need to focus on here, I realize that getting sleep can sometimes feel like a luxury in the modern world. In fact, for me, it's easier to skip sleep, work long hours, and guzzle caffeine like it's going out of style. But ultimately, that doesn't serve us, not in our performance, not in our physique, not in our health, not in our relationships. And so what we need to think about is we need to dial in our sleep routines to, even if we can't necessarily get more sleep, we need to get better sleep. So here are a few simple tips that I like to stick to. And I call this the 10, 3, 2, 1, 0 process. This was taught to me by one of my mentors, Craig Ballantyne. Quick shout out, right? So 10 hours before bed, you want to cut out caffeine intake. The reason is caffeine has a half-life, meaning half of the caffeine that is in the caffeinated beverages or foods that you're consuming stays in your system for up to 10 hours, right? So if you're having 300 grams of caffeine in a pre-workout at 3 in the afternoon, 150 of those grams are still going to be in there by 1 in the morning. That's going to disrupt your sleep quality and your ability to fall asleep. 3 hours before bed, we want to cut out all work. And the reason is, if you've ever had a night where you're ruminating, have a million different things on your mind, you can't shut down from work, that's also going to prevent us not only from getting good quality sleep, it's going to prevent us from actually being present with those who matter most, with your friends, with your family, right? So 3 hours before the end of the day or before you go to bed, make sure you are not spending time working. 2 hours before bed, cut out food, start to dial back on water intake and any beverages that you're having. When we are consuming food too close to bed, well, that's going to, one, give you the bubblies, which nobody likes, but it's also going to disrupt your ability to get sleep because your body is being forced to actually focus more energy on that digestive process versus going through and actually defragmenting your mind and help you consolidate memories and go through the recovery process. 1 hour before bed, avoid electronics. And this is the toughest one for most people across the board because damn near everything that we do is an electronic device. But the blue light that comes directly from computers, from phones, from all these different areas actually disrupts melatonin secretion within our body and keeps us awake, right? So what we want to do, you can use different things like blue light blocker glasses, here are mine. Other things, you can use Flux, which is a great app that goes directly on your computer and actually dials down the intensity of the light directly on your devices. And make sure you turn down the light on the devices that you're using, such as your smartphone. All of these tips put together are going to make a huge difference. So you hit snooze 0 times in the morning so you can get up and dominate your days as you previously planned. Rule number 7, 15-minute morning walks around sunrise. This is an absolute game changer. Most people, even those who hit the gym, do not get enough baseline physical activity. And this will blow your mind, but our workouts might burn 5% of our calories that are burned throughout the entire day. However, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, this is all the other movement that you get throughout the day, walking from the parking lot, walking to the fridge, doing chores. These different aspects burns as much as 15 to 20% of our calories throughout the day. Now, building the body that you want isn't just calories in, calories out. That's not the point. But what I do mean is increasing your activity outside of the gym is one of the simplest ways that you can dramatically improve body composition. The morning aspect is crucial, especially if you get out and go for a morning walk right around sunrise. Your eyes have photoreceptors that actually bring that light in. And when that light gets brought in directly through your eyes, it can help increase dopamine production. You're going to be able to increase vitamin D levels in your body, but also it actually starts a circadian clock within your brain to make sure that you start to get sleepier roughly 16 hours later in the day. So being able to get out, get that morning sunlight, get some movement going on, yeah, it's going to help you burn more calories, have a little bit more energy throughout the day. It's also going to help you improve your sleep quality later on that night. Lean physique, tip number 8, track your training consistently, periodically track your diet, right? If you're not assessing what you're doing in the gym, you're guessing at the progress that you're making. I see so many people who go in the gym who don't have anything that they're tracking with. If they're on their phone, they're probably swiping on Tinder or TikTok, whatever the fuck, right? Instead, if you're actually going through and tracking your workouts and seeing what your numbers are like, you're going to gradually be able to create progressive overload. Progressive overload is one of the most important driving factors for actually transforming your body. If you're lifting the same weight for the same reps with the same technique as you were a year ago, chances are your body's going to look the same. And when you actually go through the tracking process of having your workouts, and this is something we do specifically with all of our clients within the Look Great Naked protocol, it allows you to actually see what you've done, build confidence so you can get a little bit better, and then track that progress over time. When you have data, it eliminates drama. So when you can look at your workouts and see what's working and what's not, that's going to allow you to make directive decisions that really help you build the best body that you want with the time that you have. And now in terms of nutrition, listen, I'm not one of these coaches that says you always have to track your macros or do any of that or carry Tupperware around like a dweeb, right? Does that stuff work? Sure. If you want to be a competitive bodybuilder and step on stage, sure, that can work. But what we want to do is at least occasionally track what our macros are until we have a really good intuitive sense on how much to eat, and when to make adjustments. Personally, do I track? I only track my nutrition when I'm changing gears before I set up more or less a meal plan that works specifically for me. So let's say I'm trying to get shredded. Cool. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to track where I'm at, where I want to go, create meals and structures directly around that so I can operate on a day-to-day basis with a plan that works for me. If you're trying to bulk up, and you need to see how much you are eating and you're not consistently hitting that target, yes, then you're going to want to be able to track so you can hold yourself accountable to getting to those numbers. Yeah, your diet is definitely a big piece of calories in, calories out, but it doesn't tell the whole story. However, if you are consistently working hard but not getting the results that you want, specifically because your diet is not in alignment with that goal, one of the most important things that you need to do would be to periodically track and keep yourself accountable until you develop that intuitive sense to be able to optimize your nutrition for your specific goals. We have to think about tracking. We have to think about doing these things much in the way that we would with finance, right? If you are trying to save for a house, but you have no idea how much money you're bringing in, how much money that you're saving, how much money you're putting out, how effective is that going to be? Well, your workouts, your nutrition, they should be looked at within the same light. It doesn't mean you have to do it forever, but at least until you get an intuitive sense or until you can develop a plan that you can stick to consistently, then it's something that should be included in developing the lean, strong, and athletic physique that you're truly after.
So to wrap this up, we need to remember this. Success comes down to the ruthless execution of the basics. And there are many different methods out there, but principles are few. So we need to focus on the key principles that will drive you to build the best looking, highest performing body that you can. And these come back to the 8 principles that we covered today. Number 1, eat more foods that had a face and leverage the 440 protein meal method. Next, eat more plants at each meal. This is going to fill our stomach up with high quality nutrients without so many damn calories. And put down the damn Cheetos. Number 3, we want to lift 4 times per week. We need to hit muscle groups multiple times per week to trigger muscle protein synthesis and drive muscle and strength gains. Number 4, emphasize compound exercises first. This is 80 cents on the dollar. These are the most important things that you can do. So if you're strapped for time, you need to focus on things that are going to move the needle most effectively. Number 5, use isolation exercises to fill in the gaps. We all have our weak points. Nothing wrong with doing curls, nothing wrong with doing lateral raises, but we have to do it strategically, not throwing everything at the wall and hoping something sticks. Number 6, sleep 7 hours per night. Everyone wants to look for testosterone boosters, the latest and greatest supplement or training hack, but the biggest thing that you can do is optimize your sleep, because every single cognitive and physiological process will be improved by getting at least 7 hours of sleep per night. 15-minute morning walks are an absolutely crucial way to set your daily circadian rhythm, burn a few calories, and get your body dialed in to maximize performance throughout. Get 15-minute walks around sunrise each and every single day, and your recovery and your sleep will skyrocket. And finally, number 8, track workouts constantly and periodically track your diet. And the reason is simple. In the world of business, we need to be able to track our numbers so we know where our money goes. In finance, if you don't know what you're bringing in and what's going out, you're flying blind, right? And so when we have data on what's working, on what's not, that eliminates drama. That directs our decisions. And specifically when it comes to your workout, don't be somebody else who's spending all their time scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on YouTube, scrolling on Instagram, trying to find some new tips, tricks, or looking at booty shots. Instead, just write down what you're doing so you can build on that success. And with your diet, well, when you dial in your diet, when you get practice with the tracking, you build a ton of cognitive awareness so you can be able to make adjustments in real time so you do not need to tote around Tupperware in order to get jacked. So there we have it, my friends.
Hey, it's Eric here again. Before heading out, I want you to shoot me a message over on Instagram at Bach Performance and let me know what do you want to hear next on the podcast, and we'll create an episode specifically for you. Until next time, my friend, remember, fitness should improve your life, not consume it.
Did you find this helpful? If so, pound that like button and hit subscribe. Now, if you want a free copy of our Chiseled Muscle Cheat Sheet, the no BS way to help you lose body fat and build lean muscle in 90 days, make sure that you go to the description below and download your free copy. Any questions? Drop them in the comments, and can't wait to see you with the next video.